Oh, I don't know if you guys know this. If you have apps for books and audiobooks, you can link it to your local library so you can rent books. You looked at the audiobook section and it's like, oh, you have to borrow them. Oh, you're going to have to wait before someone returns it. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's an MP3 file.
I know, dude.
So before I hopped on, I'll post it in the Discord here, my friend sent me a link. He's like, dude, have you seen this yet? This is pretty cool. And looking at it, I was like, oh, this would be a perfect crossover because it makes sense. Somebody did a fan animation of Scooby-Doo meets Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, damn. It looks like claymation. Is that claymation?
So that's what I thought. It's all in Blender.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys ever watched that quote-unquote test footage for a Toy Soldier sequel. Or a Small Soldier sequel, but that was all done in like Unreal 5, and it's like, oh yeah, this looks like stop motion the way they animated it.
Dude, yeah, honestly, anything stop motion gives me the heebie-jeebies. Well, this one is done like this.
I checked that out. This guy uploaded 2 versions. The first one, there's only one voice actor, and it's the guy that does Shaggy. Everyone else is like AI voices. I guess some people volunteered to voice the rest of the cast, so he uploaded a second version for that. Because, you know, people and AI, it's still a hot topic to mess with. It's like 10 minutes. It's really good because it feels just like an old Scooby-Doo episode.
Does it end badly?
It's not like as dark as like the Five Nights series is. Scooby and Shaggy, for the most part, just being chased by Springtrap. And then it ends like a typical classic Scooby-Doo episode.
So when you say it was Shaggy voice, you mean Matthew Lillard or?
No, he got a Shaggy impersonator for the voice.
No, not bad. I'm always a fan of these independent animators. Blender's like gotten big in the recent years too.
You got to really give it up to these fan projects. If we take a step back for a second, like back in the good old days, like 2000s and stuff like that, like Newgrounds was the shit. Everyone just coming up with their own ideas, no matter how random or stupid or whatever, and how available and easy Flash was to use. Like people would literally just produce like the stupidest ideas about Scooby-Doo or Dragon Ball Z or anything and just like post it on Newgrounds. And I don't know, I just think that we've definitely come a long way from that. But if Newgrounds is like still a viable thing, we would definitely be seeing a lot of like really crazy and cool videos and stuff like that on there.
Saw my first animated titties on there.
Whoa. Yeah. Back when the internet was young and reckless. Oscar, have you seen it yet? The trailer for the live action Yu Yu Hakusho?
I did see it. It makes sense for live action as far as it goes. Like, I thought it would have gone as far as, you know, Yusuke recovering the 3 Sacred Relics, you know, his first big gig.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like it's going to go all the way to rescuing Yukina from Toguro and what's-his-face. I forgot what that old geezer's name was.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've dove into Yu Yu Hakusho.
It looks interesting, I'll say that much. And it doesn't... I don't really like the designs of the costumes. They just need to like be a little different for God knows whatever reason, but I'll take what I can get out of it. I'm just going to be more interested in the value rather than how the characters look.
Yeah, I was on the fence at first last time we talked about it on here. I mean, sure, it is a Netflix show. Netflix by licensing in the sense that this is a Japanese production and Netflix just has the rights to put it out there. It's a very Japanese live action kind of feel to it. I guess like the live action Bleach movie and Full Metal. Honestly, I'm kind of down for it. I like the aesthetic. It kind of feels like a mid or early like 2010s feel to it, the way it's filmed. They're already changing stuff into it, but honestly, I'm kind of okay on that.
It's not like I agree with everything that happened in the anime and the manga. So, I mean, we'll see. Some things might be good. One thing that kind of stood out to me is Toguro in the trailer. Like, we saw Kurama, Hiei, and Yosuke all fighting Toguro at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. Like, I was just like, okay, like...
That's not the Dark Tournament.
Like, you're showing Hiei's brother complex way too early. But it's fine. You know, like, it's not like they're gonna...
Creative liberties.
I guess. Like I said, they're gonna have to do some changes for live action, but I don't really feel like anything was necessary to bring them into that arc.
This is coming off the heels of the highly acclaimed live action adaptation for One Piece. The reason I'm more down for this than what One Piece did is because it's like, yeah, it's kind of doing its own thing. I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to make this story and still keep like some points into making it feel like Yu Yu Hakusho. I haven't said it here on the show, but yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the One Piece live action. personally, I just thought it was boring. But the big thing for me was like it felt like it was kind of trying too hard to stay one for one. It still had to do its changes and act like it's just part of the original source. Some stuff was good for the changes, but the other stuff I was like, yeah, I just don't really care.
That's fair, and that's honestly to be expected for some people. Like, it wouldn't be, if it was too good where everybody would have liked it, I'm like, it would have just been One Piece, honestly. But the fact that Oda watched over it gives it that little bit more of like a push towards it being good. I don't know if it's the same for Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, I don't know if Tagashi's touched on it.
I really hope so, because it's a kind of a shame where like I feel like he's giving all of his attention to Hunter x Hunter, and like don't get me wrong, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said Hunter, the X part, Hunter x Hunter. Honestly, I don't know, man. Like I prefer Yu Yu Hakusho over Hunter x Hunter. Like I understand like he expanded on the universe so much, and there's so much left, but it's just like the direction of the way that whole thing went. It's just like you could have just put as much energy into just starting more arcs with Yusuke. Do a time skip for all I fucking care, you know?
For Hunter x Hunter's sake, for like the way it went, it was just a story that just kept evolving and becoming more seinen, similar to how like the JoJo parts went. Really don't care for much for those changes. I don't feel like reading paragraphs upon paragraphs of slow build-up before we get into anything maybe interesting. But yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho dropping on the 14th. I'm down to check it out. I did not even bother to look at Last Airbender's trailer. I just kind of really don't care. Some people say it looks cool, but
I can't honestly say that any live action Avatar is probably going to do it justice with the way that they can interpret and do these things. But I will say that at least this time around, the child actors look a little similar to the characters. Like I feel like they kind of like fit the bill.
I mean, yeah, from what I've seen from like screenshots and stuff of the trailer, they must have definitely backtracked a lot of stuff. Remember, like the original creators, they dropped out. They're like, oh, they're ruining our series. We don't want any part of this. We're just going to create our own studio. And then I remember they put out basically the general synopsis of the series and the characters. Dude, this sounds like fucking Dragon Ball Evolution. From what I remember reading was that there's no benders. It's just like the main cast, right? Aang, Katara, Zuko found bending, one of the special people that can bend. This is weird, and they were like, oh, we're going to age up the characters, because of course you have to. Yeah, from what I saw, it looks like they backtracked all of that.
It doesn't surprise me that they would try to make these directive changes at the last minute. It would probably tells me that even if it is like the studio that they made, they're probably already losing creative control of their studio. We probably can assume that they already have as much power as they say they wanted to have when they made the studio after they left. That would probably be my interpretation of like all of these crazy things that's going on, and then I guess have a backlash for that.
It's not like the original creators, they weren't making the show, they were just helping. And then they left because they're like, no, fuck this. We don't want to have any part.
I don't even think they're going to go like a full book either, right? Like it'll probably be like half the book or a quarter of the book.
Like the first season? Yeah,
like the entirety of like the animated first season, because it was like the first book, right?
Yeah, I mean like the movie when Shyamalan did it, that covered all of book one pretty much.
I'm really excited for the Kyoshi animation.
I haven't heard anything about it other than I think those screenshots or those posts were real of the characters of Kyoshi and the Fire Lord.
Fire Lord?
Isn't she the Fire Lord?
Oh, like her friend that's with her?
Yeah.
Rangi? She's part of like the royal army.
Oh, okay.
Because her mom was one of the Avatar's friends. You know how they're all about honor in the Fire Nation? So, like, because her mother was the Avatar Karuk, I don't know if you remember, the water Avatar.
Yeah.
His friends were an airbender, a firebender, and an earthbender. The airbenders name was Kelsang. I think her mom's name, Rangi's mom's name was Ren Li. The earthbender's name is Jing Zhuo. I just call him Jang. I would put it up to, like, Korra level storytelling, like season 1 Korra, where you just kind of have like like the dark side of like what's going on. Well, in this case, it's not Republic City, it's the Earth Kingdom. But like you get a real look at like how like Earth Kingdom treats like peasants and slaves and hierarchies and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think it's going to be really good when they show off Kyoshi's tail. like I don't want to give too much away. I would definitely like say read the books. Like the way that they typically find the avatar is like when you're a child. Every kingdom has a different test, and in her case, she didn't discover that she was the avatar until she was like 16, way above the time that something else happens. And in the meantime, they think that the avatar is actually somebody else. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, not trying to give too much away, but it's just really cool how like that whole thing interacts, like where like everyone assumes this person is the avatar, and later on in the story, all of a sudden she just develops her avatar powers. Like she just comes into avatarhood. It's pretty sick. I can't wait to see how that plays out. I really hope that the animation is going to be top notch. Like I liked the animation that they had from the original show. So at least if it's on a basis like of that level, anything like that or more is just going to be okay in my book. Like I would just prefer that.
I mean, yeah, they never disappoint. I mean, like, say what you will about Korra sucking, you know, because for the most part, like, the story does. But all the fight animation and everything was always top notch.
For me, it's like Star Wars. Like, I can't really say that it sucked or like one trilogy is better than the other trilogy. I mean, I guess you.
No, I'll say it for you, Oscar. It's okay.
Like, when I just watched each of those seasons, I don't really feel like I lost interest. It wasn't really a point where I was like, oh shit, like this is shit now. I don't like that. You know, like I'm not gonna say that as like the seasons progressed, like they were better, except for season 3. Season 3 is by far for me like my favorite.
With Kuvira?
No, that's the last season.
Is the last
season 3 is with they mentioned this in the book too, in the Kyoshi book, but it's that sector of people who don't have bending, but they like hate benders. And then one of the dudes, like the leader of that sector who was in jail, ends up becoming an airbender because in season 3 airbenders come back.
Oh, okay. I have season 3 and 4 flip then.
Yeah, that guy is fucking sick.
Oh yeah, that's where we get the Tenzin fight, which was so good.
I think we get something that we've always asked for, which is like the real power of like the other elements. Like, because for a long time we feel like air is kind of like the weaker one in all of that. This guy makes air like the best power, better than blood bending. Just all the crazy shit that he does as he fights Korra. And he's like, he really doesn't need any other element. Like air is just the best element, period. That's how I feel.
Because he's such the opposite of the air nomads, right? Because they're all pacifists, basically. So we never got to see that viciousness. Even when Aang would like do attacks, he would always eventually focus on other elements to do those more savage fighting styles because that's what he was taught. Yeah, Korra for me there's a lot of stuff that's interesting and cool. The villain for season 3 was good. Kuvira, I thought she was a cool character. Some of the steampunk stuff is cool, with like when electricity is being involved and stuff. I mean, there's lava bending. I think that's like the number one thing that came out of Korra is lava bending.
Oh yeah, and what's his face could do it?
Yeah, Bolin.
Bolin was such a beast, bro.
And you know, like for me anyway, the way I thought of it was like, I mean, sure, it's like a variant of earth bending. Oh, like they could have taken it a step further because like his parents was a fire and an earth bender. So it's like maybe there's a little bit of fire bending involved into that. Just earth bending.
Now that you mention it, I kind of don't like how he was a magma bender and his brother was a lightning bender. Like, they were just both like, oh, we're the rarities of rarities. Like, that's such bullshit.
Well, no, I mean, in Korra, lightning bending wasn't rare anymore. Like, when we first see, I think his name is Mako. When we first see him, he's at a factory just channeling lightning into those terminals.
Mako, as far as I remember, was the only one that could do lightning bending in that series. And the way that he went about it, it was just like, oh, I just kind of learned this in secret.
From what I remember, he didn't want to tell Bolin he was doing stuff like that, and he barely used it. But no, like when we first see him, he's just at work, and there's like 5 other people there lightning bending. Anyways, gamers, we finally have that full roster for Tekken 8, and as I'm sad we don't have Bob, I'm still super hyped because the new waifu is great.
What's her name, Reina?
Her name is Reina, and there's 2 paths that you may pick for her. Is she gonna be the daughter of Heihachi? Or is she the reincarnation of Heihachi?
Oh, shit.
Which has been the fun memes.
Does she officially know, like, the Heihachi martial arts, or what?
She does the What's the move called? The meme move, the electric fist.
Yeah, the lightning fist.
demons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does the launcher in her trailer. Specifically in her trailer, she talks to Jin and Kazuya. She has lightning. She's part of the story. Some big Tekken Twitter account basically said like that she's a Mishima, that she's one of the illegitimate kids Heihachi has. Because if y'all remember, Harada said that he has like 18 or 25 illegitimate kids, and he's confirmed 9 so far.
Did any of them make it into the game?
Yeah, Lars.
Oh, I never knew that. See, I never played Tekken super intimately for me to like get into the story.
Like the other side basically of Kazuya, where Kazuya just wants to control the corporation, and Lars is like, well, I'll just take like everything else then.
Isn't Lars like trying to dissimulate like the entirety of like the Iron Fist tournament? Isn't like the Iron Fist tournament like corrupt in a sense because it's owned by the Mishima group?
Well, yeah, Heihachi's the only one that does Iron Fist tournaments. The story for the games was slowly moving away from having it, and they would just do like a shoehorn excuse to say like, well, fuck it, let's just do an Iron Fist tournament. Why not? Jin's literally in like a foreign country committing like genocide right now. Like, what do you mean an Iron Fist tournament's happening?
Why is he in another country committing genocide?
That is the Tekken 6 storyline when he started turning more evil. I think that was the debut of Devil Jin, right?
So there was just like a spur of the moment where he just lost his mind and just started fucking off and killing people. Isn't he like a guerrilla fighter?
He took over the Zaibatsu for a while. Half of his stuff is from Heihachi and the other half is from his mom. No, I'm super hyped though. They're going to keep dropping character trailers leading up to the launch of the game. Game Awards around the corner. We might get something else. It might be a little too soon for there, but the Tekken World Tour, I don't know when that ends, but that's probably where they're going to announce like the first DLC for the game. And I do hope it's going to be some crazy crossover character.
Who do you think would be a good crossover besides Kiryu? Because you already said that.
I think like Tifa needs to be there. I think she'd be perfect for the series. If it's not here, it's going to be Dead or Alive. But Dead or Alive is dead on arrival right now. They're probably going to pick like Clive or something.
It's not like he's really much of a brawler. They're just going to give him a big-ass sword. I don't really know about that. I mean, that's true. He does like punch and kick and shit, but that'd be a stretch. That would be some Soul Calibur shit.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Soul Calibur just is not a thing. I just remember reading the tweet when, oh man, when was it? It was a while back, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if there was a Tekken game, but they used weapons instead? Like, there'd just be so much more variations. It's like, oh yeah, buddy, it's a dead series called Soul Calibur.
Just like Samurai Showdown.
I wouldn't say Sam Show's dead.
I mean, I know it just got a game, but like, did it even get to Evo?
I think it was a main line at one point. Yeah, when it came out.
Only when it came out, not this most recent Evo.
This year's lineup was Street Fighter 6, of course, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball FighterZ because it has to be, right. Tekken 7, the MK11, KOF 15, Melty Blood, Marvel vs. Capcom.
Melty Blood. This was the first or second year that they don't have Smash anymore.
It was like the third year, I guess I'll say second year because of the COVID era. But yeah, they had Sam Show in 2021. Damn, that was it. Yeah, just 2021. Because 2022, that's when Grand Blue came out, and so they pushed that instead. And that's when Skullgirls finally was a main title too.
That one game, that Blaze Blue X Ruby game, is that
Cross Tag?
Cross Tag. That was a big thing for a while too, I remember.
Yeah, it had like 4 seasons of DLC, I think, which was pretty crazy. Namco was not satisfied pretty much with the sales of Soul Calibur 6, so it's highly unlikely we're going to see a 7, but who knows, maybe in the future we'll get like some kind of another rebrand for Soul Calibur.
I think what it always takes is a good fighting engine. You know, you change some stuff around, you keep the core elements, like of course like the upper, middle, lower armor pieces, and but some of the stuff like that they did, like the Soul Drive and all of like the special moves, I think that they can do with resimplifying it. Keep the charge move, keep a lot of that original stuff. And I would just really focus on, like, I guess the level design and character design. I wouldn't say, like, go as far as, like, Killer Instinct and just redo the entire thing. I think that it has the opportunity to do better.
the fan base too. You know, it's just not really there like it used to be. That's why DOA 6 died so fast. It's because like the fans just didn't like what they did, so they just stepped away. The biggest thing I always heard was like, yeah, I mean, DOA 6 looks nice, but DOA 5 last round is still way better than 6. And it's like, oof, yeah, you do not want to say that.
It's always bad luck when the predecessor is better than the new, the quote unquote new and improved.
But yeah, guys, brought it up earlier. Game Awards right around the corner.
Oh yeah, I'm so ready for that GTA 6.
Yeah, they got to be dropping a trailer for that.
Unless they do their own thing, like the day after the awards, Rockstar is gonna have their own fucking thing.
Oh, like a Rockstar's Direct.
Yeah, they got stuff for Red Dead Online. Rockstar did announce the 25 for their 25th anniversary. Their the GTA official GTA playlist on Spotify. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
It takes music from all the different games and then puts them in one. But other than that, yeah, I'm just waiting for that trailer and the Game Awards. Mm-hmm. That what day is it gonna be? It's
gonna be the 7th. All I want is probably Death Stranding 2, and I know it's not gonna be there, but let's get All Stars 2, baby. Come on. I know we missed the 10th anniversary, but we could still drop a sequel.
There's still time. Come on.
Still time, baby. It's the 10th anniversary of Knack. That just passed, so you know, Knack 3 right around the corner.
It's gonna be a console release for the PS6.
Man, I was just talking about, it's kind of crazy, like, PS5 is halfway into its life cycle already, and, like, those first few years, you know, they just was not available.
It only recently became available, I think, last year.
But even then, I hear that the discless version is still kind of hard to get now.
Well, especially with the new ones. Well, I don't know if it's a step forward or a step backwards, because the basically the attachable disc drive, I think, is going to be, like, $150 sold separate.
Is that a thing?
That's crazy to me. Yeah, that is crazy.
For the mini, for the PS5 mini. Hold on.
What? Oh, PS5 Slim. Oh, I didn't even see this.
Is that only like digital version?
If you get the digital version, like if you get the digital PS5, then it'll be the digital PS5. But you have the option of buying this technically accessory that you can attach to your PS5.
Right, I'm asking, is that like the only choice?
This new $499.99 PS5 will replace the original disc version and turn its Ultra HD Blu-ray drive into a removable piece you can also buy for $79.99. Okay, so I was wrong, not $150. It's $80 to get the disc drive. But I think that the slim models cost more than the original models.
No, it's the same. Reading this article, they're the same price as launch. Yeah, it's $499 and then $449 for the digital edition.
But it would technically be paying more if you did get the digital, because you'll end up getting, I think, $30 extra for the disc drive.
Oh yeah, if you purchase the base PS5 digital edition, you can add the Blu-ray disc drive at a later date, selling separately for $80. Wow. So I think it's safe to say, right, guys, that Baldur's Gate's gonna win this year.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, that's probably the consensus, honestly. But
yeah, Starfield isn't Game of the Year, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not even on the list, which is crazy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Wait, I forget. Alan Wake 2's on there, which is a surprise.
And that shit barely came out, dude.
Yeah.
That's a little tricky for me. But then again, it's Jeff Keighley in his favorite game, so
yeah.
I don't know anybody in my circles that bought the remake for Resident Evil 4. Like, I feel like that's a big reach to give that Game of the Year.
No, I don't think so. It's from all I hear from my friends that played it and everyone else, like that. It's a really good remake. No, like, yeah, RE4 it just sounds amazing, looks amazing. It's just, yeah, I'm not an RE person per se, but if I was, I would have definitely picked it up and would have had a great time. The Ada Wong DLC came out, Separate Ways, a while back. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I heard that was really good. It's also really funny because they said it's longer than the RE3 remake. And I was like, oof, that's funny.
That's crazy. Are you serious with me right now?
Yeah. Well, they messed up with the remake for 3. So that's not really a surprise.
I feel like they messed up with the remake for 2. Like they made those 2 games specifically with the intent that you speed ran through them. We talked about this before, actually. Like, I don't even know how many episodes ago when you asked me for my opinion on Resident Evil 2. The whole thing is just kind of shitty. Like, I get it. There has to be a challenge of some sort that you're providing the player to unlock all of these things and secret stuff like infinite ammo and weapons. And, like, I get that. But time, like doing time trials with your fucking game. Like the whole point of the game was to kind of like take your time and get spooked and like, you know, like get in that nuance of like checking every corner and being super careful for what you're doing in these puzzles so you don't miss anything. And now it's like, okay, I basically have to do a speedrun strat if I want to get all these costumes.
Well, wasn't that in the old games too, though?
Not to that extent. They give you the opportunity to really like take your time and do things, especially when you're learning to do them. But
as far as like replayability though, like I always, it's a similar DMC. It's like always just like the reason why people put so many hours in DMC is to master the combos, like those like 5 minute long combos. And I always thought with RE, it's just like, yeah, the reason you would just keep replaying it is to, yeah, just get those S ranks as fast as you can, kind of thing.
For the original ones, I would say it's more about the story, because every time you beat the game, it's like, okay, you unlocked like path B for this character, or now you can play as Jill, or now you can play as Wesker, right? You do Jill's story in Resident Evil 1, and then you unlock Crystal's story, you know, or not really in that order, but whatever the case is, you know, it's like it unlocks different paths for different characters. In Resident Evil 2, you're off the jump. It's like, do you want to play as Leon or do you want to play as Claire? Okay, do you want to do run A or do you want to do run B? So it gives you all of these options to set up with from the front. Resident Evil 4 would be different. I haven't played it myself, but from what I've seen, it just kind of sticks to the core aspect of what that game was, which was the first of its kind, being the losing the tank controls, and I guess you would call it third person over the shoulder, right? It was trying a new thing with its shooter, and it really built up on that. If you ever played Resident Evil 7, by the time you get to that point, you can like dash and run and slide and like shoot at the same time. And I feel like they're incorporating all of that into Resident Evil 4. You know, the maneuverability that you had, and it doesn't still feel all tanky and shit. Those kind of like quality of life changes to the game now that you brought it back in a remake, on top of the graphics and probably all the little new things that you could have added to the story with the cutscenes and the DLC, like for Ada, like that makes it worthy of Game of the Year. But I haven't played it myself, so I wouldn't really know too much about it. But I'm just speculating that that's probably why it's up there, and definitely why Resident Evil 2 and why Resident Evil 3 won't ever be up there.
Well, also, it's RE4. It was going to be up there regardless, I think.
Pretty Boy Leon. Yeah, everybody loves him.
Yeah. It's like FF7 would obviously be up there when Rebirth comes out.
I can't wait for them to do their other projects, man. It's going to be so sick if they ever do I think what we talked about, Gerry, like a Final Fantasy 6 remake.
Yeah, just any remake besides 7, please, for the love of God. I need...
And 10. You can skip 10 too. You already have enough of that. Don't do 10-3. What I'm curious about is what they're going to make optional and what's not going to be optional. Getting Yuffie was optional, like, in a very, like, a random way to get her too. So, I mean, of course she's going to be there in the story, but I'm just...
Yeah, she's already out in the in Intergrade.
Yeah, that's her DLC though. They're not like together.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like as far as like a main party, I want to dive in a remake, but it's like you can't just immediately dive in. I have to go through the whole FF7 stuff, and I'm like, oh man.
You can always just look up the YouTube, the YouTube lore.
Oh no, I wouldn't watch lore videos. No, like I'd watch the gameplay and the cutscenes and stuff.
That's right.
Because lore is one thing, and then actually seeing the story play out is a different thing.
I would argue different for Destiny lore, because Destiny lore is so fucking crazy.
I'm not going to read all those grimoires. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for real.
I've been playing my PlayStation again, finally getting that dust off of that. I've been playing Tales of Iron, and it's not really a Souls game. I would say it's like a Souls light in a sense. I think most studios try to really grab that aesthetic these days because it's like, yeah, it's a Souls game. Like, why not? Yeah, I'm having a good time with it. It's a cool little side scroller. You just play as this rat who's like the prince, and then these frogs just come and wreck everything. And now you're named king because your dad died, and now you're just out there trying to be a king, restore order, fighting frogs and bugs. And I just fought some zombies.
You're like, I'm just a rat on my pride rock.
Yeah.
Just get off my land.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a little grindy in the beginning because there's no levels in the game. It's just you grabbing better equipment. The parry system's pretty cool. Oh, there's yellow attacks that enemies do that you can basically parry whenever you want as long as it's near your animation and it'll hit. Or you just block at the right time and you'll still get the parry. It's for everybody, basically. Yeah, because knowing me, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta hit the button because I'm gonna miss it every time. I just know.
Also, you can like spam it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the parry, it's also a knockback for smaller enemies, so you can just keep using it to knock them back, dash forward, and like you do your 3 hits that you can do. You have 2 weapons. You have your light and heavy, and those tie to your light and heavy attacks. So it's like, oh, so in the beginning of the game, you don't have a heavy attack, which I'm like, this is just kind of weird. But then once you get it, you're like, okay, like you can use it to interrupt unblockable attacks and some other stuff. So, once like the small little arena that you get for enemy waves, once it starts getting overwhelming, like that's when you start really like using everything you got.
When you say like it works like kind of like a Souls game, I think about the other game that kind of came out right after Elden Rings came out, like around that time. Don't remember what it was called, but it was pretty popular too.
So Mortal Shell?
But it like had to do with Mortal Shell. Yeah, how'd you know what I was thinking? Yeah, I think in that one it's just like you get like a block mechanic.
Yeah, it's hardening. That's like your block, and I think there's parrying in the game. I can't remember, but it's definitely like, oh, this is like I gotta break in these new shoes before I can start running around. It's a cool game from what I played. I'm just like, yeah, I don't feel like grinding super heavy into this because it can get tough very early on.
I've been wanting to try it out, but like Lies of P as well is one of those other games I wanted to get around to, but it's like,
yes,
it's time, dude. It's just time. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, because so they announced they're working on the sequel, or the sequel's going to happen, and there's going to be DLC coming out for Lies of P. So I'm like, oh damn, dude, maybe I should.
Now
go
it's
back
time, I
into
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried the demo. I think I just have to go back in because I had the wrong mentality, thinking it's Souls-like, and it's like, no, it's more Bloodborne because everyone's saying it's literally Bloodborne 2, guys. Like we finally have it.
It's just like a pure parry thing. Like you really don't ever want to evade. You don't want to risk that.
Time to learn to parry the Souls games.
Yeah, I got Viscerals down. I think I could do it. The iframes are way shorter than like in Souls games and stuff. And there's just a lot of like wide attacks from like the bosses. So it's just like, yeah, you really just want to not dodge a whole lot in that game.
I think it's easier depending on what kind of weapon type you have. Because they go based off weapon types and then the handle for your weapon too.
Yeah, that's a cool little aspect. So that you can really customize your runs when you're playing that. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, we did have an email. Yeah, it's from the boy Mark again. Thank you as always. Unversedpodcast@gmail.com for any questions and comments and stuff. I wish Adam was here because this is like mainly towards him because I don't really remember much. Oh, I guess you too, Oscar, because you read it a while back.
Nice.
Back in the day. D. Grayman, there was a QA for the mangaka touching on stuff on what's going on with that manga since it's barely still going. But yeah, after 10 years, we're finally going to start a new arc for the series, which is crazy. Like, you think, like, the Hunter x Hunter hiatus is crazy. It's D. Grayman, Like,
back from the dead.
Like, I read D. Grayman. I don't remember anything now. It's been so long.
That's how it goes with these hiatus.
It takes a wild turn, that series. Like,
yes.
You get this idea... really of like, this kind of like shonen kind of aspect stuff, and then like, eventually later, like I feel like the whole premise of the show just really changes. It just gets flips upside down. So I always thought that was kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of Death Note at times, and I'm just meaning like in the way that like, I don't know, I guess like sides end up changing so much. Like, I don't know if that relates to you as well, or like if it makes you think of another kind of like series where like you can just imagine like a whole bunch of like actors, like let's say good or bad, like on one side, and then all of a sudden like for some plot reason or another like switch sides all the time.
From what I remember, oh yeah, cool shonen kind of thing going on, and then when like the art change got heavy is when the story got pretty heavy. Talk about a roller coaster of what's going on. Like, this is so different from how it was when it started. I'm like, oh, I'll catch up at some point. It's only 4 chapters a year. I think I just have to reread it when it's over. I think I'm just going to have to wait. And yeah, and his main thought about it is like, how different would the story be if the mangaka never messed up her hand and it was still doing a weekly thing? And he says like that was why JoJo went to Ultra Jump and was monthly back then too, which I can believe because like that's just a very common thing. Kishimoto had to stop drawing Naruto because he kept fucking up his hand because he wasn't really ready to do that long of a series. That question is always in my head when it comes to Berserk. It's so crazy to me that that series started in the 80s and we're still going. Like, imagine if like all the breaks weren't there, where would we even be?
God, over. I hope it would have been over.
I mean, to some it's over. I don't remember if I shared it in the chat or not, but Volume 41 came out, and that is officially the last volume of when Miura was still working on the chapters. So now Volumes 42 and moving forward is his team and his best friend working on it.
Isn't his best friend a mangaka that worked on a different manga?
Yeah, he did Suicide Island, if a manga I definitely recommend. Yeah. Mori Koji is his name. He did Holy Land back in the day. What was this one called? It's like Destroying Revolution. They worked in the same magazine for a long time, back to back with each other. I think he's also the one that did that tribute to Miura when he passed, like that one shot. Do you remember?
Was it Guts, right? And he was like in a...
It was him telling the story of him coming to gripes with Miura's death, basically. Like finding out about it and just like really getting his emotions out.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's just called the Miura Memorial manga. It's just a one shot. I'll post a link in the Discord for that. Yeah, so if you want to cry later, we got you.
Fuck.
Yeah. He brings up another point. He's talking about Bleach because, Bleach came back for the anime. It's a seasonal anime, which is important. It went to top 5 DVD sales in Japan. And he points out, all you had to do is give it a set episode list instead of just keep doing an episode every single week. And he's also curious about how the pacing and stuff's going to be at the end. I mean, for sure that one, Kubo's working on the anime, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. Because now he could really visualize they told me it wasn't going to be animated, so I didn't draw it to be animated.
I don't know. This last part of the 1,000-Year War is not my favorite part. I think it's probably the part that I don't like the least out of all of it. Because I don't agree with the ending, honestly.
Oh, same.
When it came to this, it's just going to be nice to see what he wanted for this last fight. Because I do think that it would be worth watching. If at least just to see what direction it was supposed to be animated. But aside from that, it's just you're just gearing me up for when you guys are finally putting in all of your time and effort into the Hell arc, which is what I really wanted to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want this arc to end so we can get back to stuff like that. Like the Hell arc, I do want to see what's going to go on because that's going to be crazy. But also, I just want Kubo to go back to Burn the Witch. Oh, that was cool. I want to see more of that. And now it's just been literal years. I guess I don't remember if I read the one shot, but they're doing a new animation for Burn the Witch. It's called 0.8. And I'm like, what is this Kingdom Hearts bullshit we're doing now?
Didn't it already get animated, though? Burn the Witch?
So it did. When the chapters came out, it got animated into 3 episodes. But from what I heard about 0.8 is that that's actually based off of the one shot, which I guess it's different. I haven't gone back to look at it. I don't remember it being so different you're going to animate it.
Yeah, I think it only involved just the main girl. I don't know if the one shot involved anybody else.
Yeah, either way, I'm excited. But no, like what you're saying earlier about this last arc for Bleach, all I would tell my friends is, I hated it. Reading it week to week sucked. But I don't know, it's been a long time. Maybe binging it gives you a different feeling than reading it week to week like we did. So I am kind of curious to go back and check out that arc. And also from what I hear, the anime is now more canon. Maybe just watching it is the way to go. His question is, do you guys have a series that you wish would do that 12 or 24 episode count instead of just doing it week to week? I think the big one for me would be One Piece. So that way we don't have to deal with the bad pacing problems.
I don't know if this kind of already fits that bill, but I would want that for Castlevania. I haven't finished the first season of the new Castlevania, but I would like the idea of maybe doing a 24 episode pace and being able to kind of encompass things so that it doesn't fit part of whatever they're trying to set up, but it more encompasses what we can take from the games, because I think that that's definitely pivotal making things good. We talked about this last time, like for Five Nights at Freddy's. You try to change too much of something away from its core, and that's what makes it turn to shit. But if you had given it enough time, or probably enough, like in this case, I guess, episodes, you could have had, I guess, more time to build on what you wanted to do while still retaining what you wanted to do in the universe of what the game wanted, of what the game had.
Fucking Metal Gear, dude. I would love it if Trigger fucking animated Metal Gear series based on the first game, dude. Because there's so much promise in there, and I feel like Trigger would be so amazing. They would do the animation justice. Metal Gear is already that kind of like cyber. I don't want to say cyberpunk because it's fucking used so much, but you know, like that technological or whatever the hell, you know.
It's very heavily stylized over there at Trigger.
They do a lot of good jobs when it comes to characters, like character values, and like I think that a lot of them at times can look really anatomically correct. I can just imagine them doing a really good like Old Man Snake if they ever get as far as Metal Gear Solid 4, you know, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Yeah, Snake Eater would be cool. Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Like, I feel like Trigger popped into my head, and then I get happy for some reason. You animating all the games, dude? I mean, like, come on. I feel like that's a bit, that's huge. No matter how bad, like, I want it, that's gonna be huge. That's too big for fucking everybody, I guess. Specifically 1 and 2 for Trigger, like, I would say hell yeah, dude.
Add on that list, definitely Rising, right? Revengeance?
Oh, my God, yes. Yes.
Probably not going to be Kojima, but if it is going to be Kojima, I think he would pick Trigger. That seems like a very Kojima studio.
It's like they were made for each other.
To touch on a point you said, Oscar, I'm so tired of series having only 8 episodes a season. What happened? We used to have so many, and now we're just limited to this short amount of episodes, and it changes stuff. Like with Wheel of Time, it was like that. Like, it's only 8 episodes, and it's like you can't do a lot with, I mean, these freaking Bibles I'm reading every month, you know. It's like, how am I going to jam near 900 pages into 8 hours? That's insane. If it was 23 episodes, easy. Could totally see it be more fleshed out with these characters, and it would still be fantastic.
It makes more sense, and I think that part of the reason why, at least for what I can think of in Castlevania's sake, we're just dealing with Netflix saying, hey, like, we understand Netflix that you have budget. This, but we don't want you to release this much because we want the viewer count to go up. We want people to binge watch these 8 and just know that we have more ready for them, like in a year or 6 months from now or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they're like, look, we got the money. Don't worry about it. I know it's flashing red behind me, but we have the money. But we'll give it to you in parts, okay? I swear, you're gonna get it just in parts. I mean, I guess the best example currently would be Attack on Titan. They broke down the last season over the course of like 2 years or whatever, but because they had that time, we got animation at the maximum for those last episodes. I didn't watch it. I saw clips. Looked pretty good, man.
That's promising.
I guess it's time for me to get into this.
Yeah, I'd say it's time, dude. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Attack on Titan was pretty good. Ending is controversial. I haven't seen a lot of hate on the anime side of things for how the ending was with Eren and all that. But for me, anyways, I think it made sense into how he was writing the story and like how like certain beats kept playing out. It makes sense to it ended the way it did.
I think the only thing that I actually saw about the ending was a Moist critical video. And I don't know if you would agree with this, Danny, but he was just basically saying that the only person who didn't change throughout the entirety of the series was Eren. He's just the only person who, like, from like the very beginning of the series still has the same mindset that he did towards the end of the series. He just goes about it in different ways.
So I saw Wooly talk about it, and he had some words. I was like half listening, so I kind of don't know what's happening. I know what the controversial part is, but like I don't know until I read it, you know. So I guess it's time to, or actually watch it, because honestly, I don't feel like reading anymore. One Piece has got me. Komi-san has got me.
I would definitely say Attack on Titan is one of the rare series to where it's better to watch it. They do fix some problems I had with the manga. Like I fell off a couple times. The parts where I stopped, the bad parts, they got fixed in the anime.
Is it worth watching subbed or dubbed?
I don't know anymore, dude. I don't know, man. Modern anime.
I'm not trying to start shit.
I don't know what people like these days. I don't know. I feel like some of these new voice actors for these new anime, like it sounds like they're a little too try hard. When I watched the second My Hero movie in theaters, it was the English dub, like Froppy's doing like her little frog stuff, and then Mignetta he kind of talks like this, and I'm like, oh, actually this is pretty good.
They really like gave him like their own like expression and dialect. I really appreciate that. I don't really think that dub is bad on all accounts. Like, I just think it's like more of a taboo these days, just for like people to hear that word and just be like, you fucking suck. Like, you're not a real weeb.
The gen after us who didn't watch like the 90s anime dub are definitely like, why would you watch it in dub? Watch it in the subs, bro.
I feel like we were saying that too when we were younger. Well, at least I was. Oh, for subs, I mean.
But I would always make that exception though. Like, it's not like it wouldn't just come to me in the back of my head. Like, I don't like Steve Bloom or like any single voice that he does. And if I had to have like a good counter example of when it's a good time to watch something in English, I would use Yu Yu Hakusho as an example. I don't know if you've ever heard Kuwabara in Japanese, bro, but it makes your ears bleed.
Reminds me of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, like Goku?
Yes, yeah, some of the dub versus subs is tough. Like, there's a lot of strong ones where I'm like, why are you watching the sub? What is wrong with you, dude? Like, the dub is the better one. Like, come on.
Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or like Cowboy Bebop. Like, who's ever seen that sub? It's so weird.
I saw a clip of Samurai Champloo subbed, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is a little too weird for me.
For some things, like, I wouldn't expect to know what it sounds like until like you finally get around to it. Like, I would love to watch Lupin dubbed.
That'd be pretty cool.
But I don't want to watch sub. Shin-Chan, another one. Definitely Crown Shin-Chan. If you have not seen Crown Shin-Chan in English, you are missing out. Missing out.
It was perfect.
It was such a good, and just the extended, I wouldn't say extended, but the additional episodes that they did, like a couple of years later, that they also dubbed, they got around to, I want to say maybe like 50 or so episodes in total that they did. God, I miss that show, man. I miss that show so much.
I still haven't seen it yet, but I want to watch the new movie.
I've only seen one Shin-Chan movie because I can only find one. Surprisingly, it's like they don't like to sub those movies, or at least not the ones that I can find.
Well, also, I guess Shin-Chan's also like super niche.
Yeah, you only catch it like once in a blue moon. One of those weird Adult Swim shows,
Like Super Milk Chan. Do you remember that?
Key Adult Swim, dude. Yeah, those times is so good. Sci-Fi is another channel for those.
Oh, freaking Anime Mondays? Yeah, dude.
Anime Mondays, yeah. Catch me some Witchblade.
Thanks, guys, for listening. And, of course, we'll be back next week for a new episode. So until then, we'll catch y'all later.